This document from the Superior Court of Washington in Chelan County outlines the arrest of Jonathan L. Riches on December 24, 2025, for multiple domestic violence-related charges, including second-degree assault, harassment with threats to kill, and interfering with the reporting of domestic violence. It states that probable cause was found, meaning authorities determined there was sufficient evidence to support the charges. Based on these allegations and the active case, the document effectively provides justification for agencies outside of Washington, such as Pasco County in Florida, to take action, as it establishes grounds for arrest tied to serious criminal accusations and an ongoing legal matter.
YouTube Streets back in the building. Ronnie Blue Eyes, DVS stuck in the system. Scandalous Squad. Yo, we got an interview, another JLR interview with a podcast called Florida Girl. Shout out to Florida Girl, because holy shit,
Big
you
shout out to
definitely got a
Florida
golden
Girl.
nugget right here, baby.
Shout out to Tan Talk. We here. YouTube Streets. You know what it is. Hit that like button if you like something. Shout out to Florida Girl. Shout out to Tan Talk. We're gonna get right into it. Let's do it.
Yeah, now go over there, show up Florida Girl some love. We're gonna see what it's about on right now. Let's get to it.
You know, everyone needs to be held accountable for what they do, and
And once again, this is JLR, man.
Yeah.
I stole some money. It was identity theft type crime. I took some money from banks and financial institutions, not people. Defrauded banks, and they gave me 10 years in prison. I was only expecting 2 at the most.
Jonathan, only the government's allowed to steal.
They steal from us.
Uh-oh.
Oh shit. It's coming in
I
hot.
like her already.
She's coming in
I like
hot,
her
bro.
already, man. Yeah.
Jonathan, only the government's allowed to steal. Hit him with the government.
Yeah, next thing she might say is, there's only 2 things promised in life, death and taxes.
You know what I mean?
I just wanted you to know that. She didn't
Taxation and stuff. So, so I'm vulnerable. I'm out in the middle of Texas, and I get 10 years in prison. They immediately start placing me in United States penitentiaries, because there's multiple levels of prison. You know, there's lows and camps. There's actually a lot of people have heard about these club feds, or where it's these federal prisons where people.
So once again, JLR thought he was going to go to a club fed. He thought he was going to actually be, placed with, white collar criminals.
Right.
And I guess because of, the way he presented himself, or just the malicious intent on what it is that he did, they said, you know what, we got something for that ass. We're going to send you all the way up there. You're going to start at the tippy top, and you're going to have to work your way down.
Yep.
See what happens. And it kind of made him bitter. Made him, it made him real sour. So to speak.
Golf and swim and
Are
stuff.
You serious?
Yeah, they have these camps up in the panhandle of Florida at the Air Force bases up there.
Wow.
Alabama. These federal camps, but I didn't go there. I immediately went to a federal penitentiary with drug cartels and MS-13 gangs and DC gang.
And a lot of this is him crying, right? Because listen, man, do the crime, you got to do the time, man.
Yeah, he didn't like that, bro. He didn't like getting caught up, not one bit.
No, not at all.
Warlords and terrorists and just mafia people.
Well, not really caught up. I think he was more concerned with the fact that he was with high security offenders. You know what I mean? Like people that had a high classification, like violence kind of shit going on.
Yeah, because he was into that cyber shit. He was expecting some white collar,
club fed. He thought he really was gonna go somewhere where it would have been real nice for him.
Let's be real.
And brush his teeth whenever he wakes up and grab a cup of coffee in his room. There's places like that.
Yeah, no doubt. So he was tight that he didn't end up in a place where he thought was right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And he's scorned, man. He's scorned. He's scorned, excuse me.
It was just the shock of my life, and I had to adapt and survive.
Mm-hmm.
And first off, I was very mad about my sentence, and I immediately descended onto the law library. and to understand my own case, understand the process and how I can correct and get remedy over that matter. So I just studied the law. Started appealing my key cases, didn't get any remedy there, appealed to the Supreme Court. They don't even hear it. They don't hear anyone's case, basically. And, you know, I had to serve that time, and I was shipped around all across the country in these federal prisons. I mean, they ship you thousands of miles away from your home. You know, it's tough, and, you know, you have got to be mentally sharp, and you got to be on your toes at all times. You know, you have to, it's very violent. I mean, these federal prisons are extremely violent. Violence is almost every day. Matter of fact, in the news 2 days ago, the whole federal prison system.
So let's be real, Ronnie. Violence is a universal language in prison.
Yeah.
Right? This shit seals the deal, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, violence is the universal language. Period. You know, I hear
that's
it all
your
the time.
insurance. That's your
Yeah.
insurance. You know what I mean?
Right.
Depending on you know, how dangerous you are depends on how much you're going to be respected.
Yeah, and it comes down to survival too, whether you willing to get down or not.
Yeah, all the way.
Right now is on a nationwide lockdown due to 2 inmates being killed in Beaumont, Texas, a federal prison in Beaumont, Texas, which I went to, the same federal prison. It's bad. It's out of control. The inmates run the asylum. Guards do not intervene or do anything, basically, except counts.
Wow.
And it's bad. And, you know, I had to grow a beard out, and I had to work out every day. And, you know, thank God, you know, I didn't really get into any violence with anyone. You know, most people kept to myself, studied the law. I felt other people there were adversely affected like me, you know, particularly African Americans in many cities.
And you mentioned at the bunker,
So
there's a place called the bunker now that you can go and
right?
have events there. And it's
He called it the asylum, not the penitentiary. He called that.
Well, of course he did, right? He was in a lot of mental health facilities. He
Right.
went through a lot of mental health when he you know, when he realized, yo, shit is real here. Shit is about to be fucking crazy. Yo, let me see if I can play this mental health card. And, you know, they placed him in a mental health kind of situation.
Yep.
by the guy who
Cliff Gephardt.
Cliff Gephardt,
Allegedly.
who owns Conservative Grounds. So we were at the bunker listening to your life story, and you had made mention that when you were in federal prison, oh crap, I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, you know, just being inside the prison system, you know, it's I had to do everything I had to do to survive. You're in survival mode. I mean, when you literally go to the shower in these prisons, you have to go to the shower with your boots on. You have to go to the shower. You can't walk around in flip-flops. You have to walk in steel toe boots and stuff like that. I mean, people walking around with homemade shanks. It's
Oh my
that
gosh.
bad. I was pretty respected in the system due to the fact that I kept to myself, worked out, you know, and treat people with manners and integrity. But at the same time, you know that I can handle my business if I have to. I helped a lot of inmates with legal work. Joe Biden at the time.
That's what I meant to ask.
So-
Was the Biden?
So
some of
Biden
his
was
laws have
ahead of
affected-
the. We all
So this is a real thing, right?
Yep.
He can get by, one, because as far as we know, there's no Chester shit.
No bad
Right.
paperwork. Right.
He didn't tell anybody yet, I guess, or it's not
Right.
something that was looked into or whatever, allegedly. And he's correct. If you're just working out,
Yeah,
going
being
to school,
respectful, minding your business, helping people with their law shit.
bidding, right?
Right.
You just carry yourself in a gentleman fashion.
Respectable. Right.
It's very rare you're gonna get into some shit. Now, if you start gambling, start
Right.
doing some homosexual activities or gangbanging, your chances of getting in some shit just rose.
Yeah, the 3 Gs, facts. But a little
Okay.
respect goes a long way, you know?
Yeah, so I could see him passing through and passing by because that law library, man, that everybody's looking for a way out. And you can
Yeah.
befriend somebody, bro. You can befriend everybody, bro.
Yeah.
You
If you
become
helping
that
them work
person.
on their case and shit, yeah. Going, even minding your business goes a long way, right? Respect goes a long way. Just a little respect goes a long way. But you know what they say, bro? If he's in there hitting that law library, he knows a little little more than the next man, and if you can help them, if you can, they're gonna utilize that. They're gonna take advantage of that. Like, yeah, let's work on this shit, you know?
And I think that a lot of this stuff, because he wouldn't be able to do any of the things that he did when he came out, like all that, pretending to be Muslim and, capitalizing and trolling and, all that crazy shit. He would have been in a lot of trouble. That would have
Right.
been a lot of things that would have definitely got him jammed up. I think that he pressurized all that because he knew he couldn't get away with it in there. And he said, you know what, I'm going to just go ape shit when I get home. I'm going to just take all this shit out and just go straight for the fucking horses. And that's kind of what he did, man. He was willing to take a violation, which is 12 to 18 months, right? To sit down because he said, yo, I'm going to go to Sandy Hook, a massacre that took place by an individual that decided to unalive a whole bunch of children, right? And I'm going to go pretend to be the active unaliver's uncle and lie and just come up off the fly with stuff that is just made up and outrageous. And I'm going to run with this until I get caught and I go to jail. And I'm going to sit up. I'm going to capitalize off this when I get home. And it's an investment.
Yeah.
While everything's stirred up, he can't get touched. He can't get asked questions. He's untouchable. He's doing
That's
that.
next level trolling, bro. That takes trolling to a whole nother level. You know what
Yeah,
I
that's
mean?
commitment. That's commitment, bro. So, this dude is different breed, man. Different breed. So I could see him chameleonizing in the system and just, walking a
Adapting.
straight line, walking that
Right.
straight line, and just wait until he gets out to do all this crazy shit.
I don't know that Biden, when we all hear that Joe Biden is a racist, he literally is. And I'll explain why. In the 90s, he was head of the Senate Judiciary.
So I don't want to get political, Ronnie, right? Because I know that turns a lot of people off.
Right.
But where he's going with this is all facts. It's not some shit that he's about to make up. So, not only Biden, but Clinton. Clinton was an advocate for, the mass incarceration of juveniles, of the spillage of the crack epidemic. There was no, programs or any kind of reliefs for, the outcomes of what the crack epidemic did, or there was only jail cells for kids, respectfully. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But he's about to spit some shit about Biden. And like I said, I don't like to get political, but he's about to spit some shit.
Judiciary Committee, right? The Judiciary Committee, they're the ones that implement all these federal rules, laws, policies, and procedures on the judicial level, right? Mm-hmm. He was the architect of the federal sentencing guidelines that, started the mass incarceration movement, wow. Right? So a lot of times in the cities, in all the inner cities, a lot of individuals, a lot of African-American men were selling crack cocaine, right? And they would have little amounts of.
Like that. I didn't even see this interview. This is a raw reaction.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is a fact. He's spitting some facts.
Crack cocaine, not on, just the palm of their hand. Automatically, mandatory minimums, 25 years in federal prison.
Holy
just cow. On small amounts. And it ruined communities. In the 90s, it took men away from their children. It took men away from their families and thrown in prison. So there was hundreds of thousands of people with small amounts of drugs put in federal prison. And they would,
And another, to add on to this, this is kind of up my alley with the stuck in the system old, thing.
Right.
When it came to powder, man, cocaine, man, we're talking about slaps on the wrist, like, get out of here. He was tossing that shit on the curb like it was sugar, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But when it came to that hard, man, oof, man, they insured the system for 25 years, bro.
Yeah, they was going hard on the hard.
It was in insurance. They said they're going to squeeze blood out of a rock. They said, yo,
right.
There's going to be a lot of aftermath. A lot of families going to get torn apart. Fucking men are not going to have no jobs. They're going to need to fucking sell this fucking drug that we just gave them. And we're going to lock their ass up like fucking fish in a barrel. It's crazy.
Yeah, because they were thinking like the upper class is more into the soft, and they're thinking that the hood's fucking with the hard, so it's more like
well, you
class,
remember the lawyers
class too. Nah, I'm saying
Lawyers,
this is
DAs,
how
they
they
was
look
all
at it.
fucking with it. Yeah. That's
You
something they
know,
all fucked with. Of course, if they got locked up for this, they
like
all do
dealers would
crazy
target,
times.
when they was, allegedly, selling that soft, they're gonna target them Wall Street dudes, them, them upper class to make more money, but they thinking if you're dealing with that hard, it's most likely coming from the hood. It's like I don't get into the politics and religion on the podcast, you know that, but remember that whole shit with Nancy Reagan, the just say no shit, that went hard for decades. The 80s, the 90s. Like I remember hearing that shit when I was a kid from all the brothers in the commercials and shit. It was in schools. They had the DARE program and all this shit. And just say no, just say no. They were drilling that shit.
Well, you got to remember that was the leading up to everything else that came with this shit he's talking about. Because Vietnam, remember there was
Right,
a big influx of heroin, and
right.
they had to clean that up. They knew that the aftermath of that too. They knew how hard that shit was gonna hit, and they already did the statistics on that before it even took place. That's just what I believe. But yeah, bro, it's a vicious cycle, bro. Vicious
Unfortunately,
cycle.
yeah, we've seen soldiers come home with habits and shit. Even after this last, in the Middle East and stuff, they were coming home hooked on that H and shit. It's unfortunate,
But you got to remember it was poppy and oil that we were really over there
right?
for. We wasn't over there for WMAs or weapons of mass destruction. You know what I'm saying? Um, WND, sorry.
Yep, yep.
That's so if you know, you know. That's fucking 9/11 with inside job. That's my opinion. It's just me.
No,
Yeah, a lot
they
of
don't
people say
deserve that amount of.
false flag operation. A lot of people theorize that was a false flag
Look,
operation.
I, I I live in New York City, bro. I've been here my whole life. I know somebody that was there, a volunteer firefighter at Ground Zero, helping people come down the steps, and people that was in the building told him they kept on hearing clicking, bro,
That's crazy.
clicking, that kind of shit. Now, mind you, 3 months prior, they had a construction crew come in and do some sort of wiring or
Yeah.
electrical or
Oh,
something,
that's a
right?
whole another rabbit hole. I'm already knowing. That's
Listen, bro, I'm a welder by trade, bro. I don't do it no more because half-ass kind of fucked my lungs up, right? But that's another story. Um, but yo, those beams are cut on 45s, bro, and a controlled demolition staggered. You know what I
yeah. That's
mean?
what they say it looked like when they break down the videos and shit
And
like
I'll
that.
tell you
I've seen
this right now, fool.
documentaries.
It would take a long time for a plasma cut to get through all that shit. And, bro, those were thermal charges, bro, that melted through that shit completely, bro, and fucking staggered that shit to where it was controlled. Respectfully, I don't want to get too deep, man, and I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah. No,
suicidal.
that's a deep
Respectfully,
rabbit hole.
respectfully.
Time. You sell drugs for whatever reason, and I understand drugs pollute and poison the community. Don't support that whatsoever. Selling drugs, it's wrong. But to get 25 years for just small amounts of drugs was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I would, be in prison. I would help people. I would try to help people because, I was adversely affected, and I was like, I'm going to help other people too. Try to get out of this situation, or try to get remedy, try to get some relief, at least get their sentence cut in half.
Sometimes people, and I'm guilty of this too, sometimes people don't understand the ramifications of either like a bad police officer or a bad sentence if they haven't suffered that themselves. I used to think that people who had a bad cop story, I used to think that they were just full of crap. I really did. You're just making stuff up, whatever, until I had a bad cop story. And I love cops. I'm married to a cop. I had no idea.
Okay. Still
So I
doesn't
wonder if
change.
he got anyone's sentence reduced by helping them.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he led people in the right direction. Um,
But yeah, a lot of people, you can't judge a man till you walk in that man's shoes type shit. And she's saying she thought people were bullshit until she had some bad experience herself. Then she seen it was real, for real, for
so
real.
she's married to a cop. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
was trying to bite my tongue a little bit, but it doesn't change anything. I mean, it does show that shit does go down because the police will fuck you up if they really get the opportunity to. At least the old school ones. I really
right.
haven't had any run-ins with the new ones. They're a lot younger now.
Yeah,
The
shit's
officers that used
different.
to The officers that used to fucking terrorize us was a lot older, and they were real fucking hardcore fucking men, bro. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
like,
yeah. I agree. And you know what I think changed a lot with that shit. Now, I'm not saying this still don't take place because we all know it does. But the body cams are reducing a lot of the bullshit. I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, absolutely. If it's not physical now, you could possibly die from some sort of bug going through numerous times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because back in the day, them Boston police, they were fucking dudes up. I've seen, I've caught a hot one myself. I've seen them fuck up my brothers, my friends, my father. Like they used to beat the dog shit out of you while you was in handcuffs, bro. But ever since body cams, it's like shit. You got to be a lot more careful. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but they got to be a lot more mindful when everything's being recorded. They got the dash cams too as well on the cruisers on the car cars too. So
No, yeah, police were a
it reduces it.
different breed back in the day, man. I tell
Back
you that.
so it would crash out.
Very hands on, up close and personal shit.
Yep.
Um, I got
Always back it in just in case you got a mass show.
wild stories, man. Shout out to Zebby.
They were bad ones because I'm married to a good one.
So there's been reform over the years in the federal prison system, but the judges at the time were bound by the federal sentencing guidelines. They know it's ridiculous that somebody had this amount, low amount of drugs and get 25 years, but their hands are tied. Their literally hands are tied because Congress creates these mandatory federal.
So they closed a lot of loopholes that would have gotten a lot of people out off the technicalities and
Yeah.
to get the sentencing guidelines. But even before the shit took place, they knew what to cut off so that wouldn't take place because they needed the insurance for the 25 years. And so they take out surety bonds on everybody that is um, arraigned or given a felony, right?
Right.
And however long that, you know, felony goes through, whether it's dismissed, whatever, it always accumulates funds until, whenever. So, and it's a part of the NYSE number. For New York, there's New York State ID number. It's where they put you on the stocks. You're literally being sold. Like, it's a real thing. So, um, you know, shit is wild, son.
Federal sentencing guidelines that the judges have to. It's very rare to go below the guidelines. You have to have extraordinary circumstance. You have to cooperate with the government.
Wow.
You have to have these safety valves, and it hardly ever happens.
Wow.
So these people, are serving a lot of time now over time. And I'll give Trump credit for this. In 2016, he started these first step acts and incentive programs because he knew how ridiculous it was that these people were in prison and had incentives like, you could get your, sentence cut significantly if you get your GED in prison.
Really? That's actually
Yeah, merits and all that. I didn't get that part when I was locked up. I did get my GED and all that, just for personal reasons.
Right.
But on other notes, like for merits, like on my last one, unfortunately, I hate to say it like that. I made my merit, but you needed specific things within the guidelines to be granted your merit. One was, outside clearance with a certain amount of hours, or a trade, or a vocational with a certain amount of hours, with a certain amount of tasks completed.
Right.
And then there was college, depending on whether you were halfway through your degree or what semester you on or how many hours. It was something that was counted for where, it could help you, get out on the merit.
Yeah.
Including no, write-ups or any kind of tickets or anything like that.
Of course. Yeah. Good behavior, shit like that.
You're golden. They kind of
Right.
opened up the fucking floodgates for people to get out on merits because merits was hard to get at one time. Like they wasn't
Yeah.
getting merits for
They
shit.
wasn't just passing them shits out. And I wonder if
Yeah.
this, because this interview right here had taken place about 4 years ago, just like about 4 years ago. Yeah. So I wonder if this is before or just when he just started supporting Trump, because you could tell he kind of half-assed was supporting him there, like kind of, but not really. But he's like, oh, I'll give him credit, but I'll give him credit for this. But he wasn't going too hard. It seems like at this time, yet.
So when you're in the system or you're incarcerated, right? One way is passing time. Amongst other things is like, dudes play cards, dudes go to the yard, and they occupy themselves with, um, an overload amount of sports and shit like that to try to forget
Yeah,
shit and get
working
into,
out, reading.
yeah, but um, some dudes get political and they really look
Yes,
into the things that a president or a governor or a mayor is really trying to change, and like really, not say, yo,
it
I'm gonna
goes
vote
hand in
for
hand
him.
with the laws and shit. So if you're in the law
Yeah,
library,
so
you
if you're
keep that in
following these
mind.
laws and it's gonna
Yeah,
benefit your case or it's gonna
right,
benefit your guidelines, you're gonna automatically lean towards liking this guy, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't like either side. I mean, I do see how chess is played, and I do like some of the moves, but
right.
uh, it's somebody else is fucking pulling the strings, bro.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
puppet master shit.
So it's just these guys are fronts anyway. So it's like I'm just looking to see which moves are,
Well,
whatever.
like you always say, man, you ain't part of the left wing or the right wing because you know it's all a part of the same bird. You
One
heard?
big ass bird, bro, and I don't want to be a part of none of that shit. And I can see
Right,
the whole fucking bird is a bird, bro. Respectfully, no matter how
right.
you fucking put it, bro. A bird is a bird. You know what I mean?
Progress.
If you work, work, or you take programs, like parenting classes and anger management classes, you take these successfully, complete these, you get an incentive to get out earlier from prison, stuff
So
like
they're
that.
actually rehabbing them emotionally and mentally,
Correct.
and then giving them some kind of skill, or at least you can go to somewhere to a trade school now that you have a GED where most people can't. At least it's a hand up. It's not
Yes.
a handout, it's a hand up.
And then they changed the guidelines. They made the guidelines more advisory and giving more power to the judges to make their own decisions. So they, when a defendant goes in front of a judge now in the federal system, they understand the nature and characteristics of an individual. They've got mitigating circumstances, then they could get reduced time or even get more time. It just depends on the individual. So they made reforms. But at the time when I was there in the early 2000s and 90s, it was like we were like the guinea pigs of this mass incarceration experimental process. I mean, the federal prison system blew up to 200,000 inmates.
Wow.
A lot. It was like back in the 80s. It was only like you had to do something really, really serious to go to federal prison. I mean, again, you would have to sell large amounts of cocaine and drugs or be in the mafia.
But you got to remember, I can understand why they gave him so much time too. Not only is he's being a punk ass kid, right? But the fact that he's able to fucking do all this shit, right? And
Right.
he has the formula. We do not want this shit to get out. We don't want him
Yeah.
fucking explaining this shit to nobody else.
You have
We
the
don't want him to
access,
have
the
the access
information,
to shit.
techniques, right?
Fuck that. Let's make sure he misses a generation, and by the time he gets out, he'll be so far behind that he's gonna have to fucking do YouTube. Respectfully.
To go to federal prison, but in the 90s and 2000s, they throwing everybody in there. I'm a nonviolent white collar crimes. Stole some identities, and stole from financial institutions, and they throw me in a federal prison.
Wow. Maybe because of the skill used. I'm shocked they just didn't hire you.
Well, I mean, I was.
This ain't the
That's
movies,
some movie
lady.
shit. Yeah, that's some movie shit. I'm saying
This
he's
is
watching
not
all the
that.
movies. With all
Fucking
due
not catch me
respect.
if you can. This is not that. Chill out.
I'm I'm actually computer savvy, believe it or not. I don't put that out there, but I was
shouldn't
like,
have fired him. They shouldn't have put you in prison. They should have been like, hey, how you do that?
my first computer was in the 90s. I was my first computer, Windows 94, I had a Gateway computer, the cow boxes. I don't know if any of your listeners remember the cow boxes from Gateway and stuff like that, and Netscape Navigator, the old Internet Explorers, back there, the browsers. And I loved computers. I was always fascinated with how computers and.
So I can see now, right? I'm listening to him talk, right, and I'm thinking about my pops for whatever reason because he was big into navigation and he was always big into technology and he always said, "Yo, they're coming. This technology shit is crazy.
Yeah.
Everything they're taking the money, and they're gonna turn it into At that time, he was saying plastic, and it's gonna be over for everybody. Everybody's gonna be on the tracking system and all that." And when he's saying this, and I'm like, God damn, like the only way you would kind of know that is if you had the information and you was around the technology to understand that this shit is about to take place. You know what I mean? Like the capabilities and advancements. Because my pops was a navigator, right? He was a
Right.
Merchant Marine, second mate or whatever, fire chief, all that shit. but he knew the capabilities of what it is that was on the ship, that nobody else had other than,
Yeah.
people that needed to have it. And I guess, being around all that shit and understanding that shit and being way more advanced than everybody else, you could foresee the future and be like, yo, if this is what the fuck is gonna happen.
Right.
Just thought, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to.
Nah. Because then you see years later, you fast forward, you see the plastic guns getting through metal detectors and shit like that, and all this other technology, crazy technology, 3D printers, the shit that the world got, the shit that we know about. Imagine the shit that the government got, the military got that we don't know about.
Well,
Crazy beyond
just to
recognition.
tag on to this, right? The way they found this airman that just went down in Iran, they've got a thing. I'm probably gonna butcher the shit out of this, but it's a heart murmur detector gun where it fucking follows your heartbeat, your rhythm of your heartbeat, and anywhere you are, bro. He was like somewhere in some desolate fucking forest somewhere, and they fucking found him through his heartbeat. Cause from my understanding, everybody has, you know, we're not all on the same fucking beat, right? Everything's different. So I guess they can find the signature of your heartbeat,
Right.
fucking tune in and fucking locate you and be like, yeah, we got you. Come on, we're
Yeah.
going. Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, I remember watching the documentary and they were talking about this bug they had. It was like a spy bug, like a fly. And they could land that shit anywhere and listen and see what's going on. And it could actually sting you and then plant the chip in you and track your location. Crazy shit that the CIA.
This is like fucking for real shit, or you was
This is some
just
real shit. Declassified shit.
no shit.
Yeah, crazy. And they wait like 20 years to release this declassified shit. So imagine the shit they got that we don't know about. You know what I mean? It gets deep.
Hmm.
That's just one of the one of the many I've seen and heard of that was just mind blowing.
It's all gone, Ronnie. It's all gone, baby. Woo. It's
Gone,
all
baby,
gone.
gone.
It's all gone. I just drank the last of that orange juice, man.
Ooh.
Ooh, wee, baby. We're
Gone,
about to
baby,
be on
gone.
a ride, baby.
Telephones, how the telephone system works
Really?
and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a term called.
And this is gonna be like his fucking claim to fame too, bro. The telephone shit.
Right.
Shout out to my man. I can't remember his name, but yo, he was nasty on the fucking finding the password or the pin to everybody's account when you're on Rikers Island. Either you're with the program or you're not, and if you're not, we're gonna see what's happening. And then you might stay here, you might not, you might go to another house, you might have to try it out and do this shit all over again and start fresh. But if you eventually, you find somebody that's on the scene that or you like that, and you getting numbers to get on the phone,
Yeah.
they're gonna put their pin number in. You're gonna
Getting
be like,
acclimated. I remember you bringing that up to it. He got to a point where he could just hear it, just by hearing it, he could remember this shit and know what numbers and shit.
get them on the phone and put in their pin number, bro. He could hear this shit, bro. He'd be
That's
on
crazy.
and listen to the different tones of the numbers, bro. And that's all he needed, son. That's it.
Wow.
That's all he needed was for you to put that pin number in one time, son, and it was a wrap after that, bro. Like he's in your account every time after that. He's like, he's got every fucking one memorized, bro. That kid was a genius. I bullshit you not, bro. Fucking bullshit you not. I say, yo, do that shit with my pen, bro. He looked away. I
I
covered my
believe
shit. Covered my shit.
it.
He's like, yo, bow. He's like, yo, son, I'll never use this shit. But yo, he got into my shit, son. I was fucking amazed, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. No bullshit. No fucking bullshit.
Phone freaking. PHREAKING.
So what is phone freaking?
It's just understanding
It's not 976 numbers.
No, it's not 976. It's just the fundamentals of how a phone
He's so
and
young,
switch
he doesn't even know what that is. You don't know
how
what that
it
is,
works.
do you, Bobby?
No, no.
Oh my
I had you on
goodness.
the cow boxes there.
Remember the gateway cow box?
I used to go to the store and look at them up on 19.
I remember I had like my first computer was back then was like an IBM ThinkPad 770Z. It literally that computer at the time, because it was like one of the first laptops that came out there, like one of the first ones, it was like $15,000 at the time.
Wow.
They were expensive back then.
Yeah, I learned on a Windows 98 ThinkPad. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And you know, every year they devalued like big time, you know, like now you can get a pretty good computer for $2,000, but back in the day they were like over 10 grand. You know, everyone needs to.
Oof. That was one hell of a drop on that. She's got anything else on JLR or nah?
That's crazy. I'm not sure. That it seems like, you know, there's probably a half an interview, or maybe they cut some certain shit out for a certain reason, but it seems like there was more to it.
It may be, but I would love to hear more about what happened on that interview.
Right.
So
They would definitely have to look into that, bro.
Let's look into it, man. That's definitely intriguing. At least, you know, Till next time, man. As always, stay humble, but stay responsibly dangerous. Ronnie, take us out of here, baby.
Hey, shout out to Florida Girl. Salute. Hit that like button if you like something. YouTube Streets, DVS, Ronnie Blue Eyes. Let's go. Yeah. Salute.
Yeah, shout out to Florida Girl. Get out of here.
Yeah, shit, bro. Y'all can't stop putting hands on women. Like, stop. I hit on women, y'all hit women. That's a big difference. Bullhead Betty done fuck Dolly Vision. JLR, he can't stop hitting women. Now he's gonna be his own case that he covers cause he's gonna be missing. AR from the far, get his head splitting. JLR is a bitch, yeah, admit it. You will catch his bullet like a fucking Jason Witten. I'm a dog, motherfucker. Yeah, you a kid getting gone, motherfucker. Why you hitting women? Why the fuck did you get that girl a black eye? Is it cause she found out that you like black guys? Looking in your eyes, I can tell you a bitch. Cause you gonna put hands on a fucking bitch. That's some bitch shit. Now you gon' be missing, you gon' have to cover it. Like David, I put him in the trunk of my car. Roll him up, Dolly Vision in 2 cars. Fuck JLR. Yeah, fuck JLR. You gon' have to get a real job. Heard Dolly Vision did a threesome with Bullhead Betty. You got a rim job. And welcome to the pod. From now on, I'ma make sure everybody knows what you do to a woman in a closed door. I know Betty done gave your ass a cold sore. Fuck that old whore. White boy done told me about Applebee's. How Bullhead Betty was on the damn knees on the outside of the car in the damn street. After you was finished, yeah, you told her to be feet. I'm not surprised, and you probably couldn't bet me that JLR didn't put hands on Betty.